Welcome to the Book Pub Podcast. This is a podcast where we tell you about an author while enjoying a good cocktail.
And to continue on, we are two fabulous women who love to discuss while sipping.
Yes, discussing while sipping. I'm Lesley.
I'm Madeline.
Yay. And today we are doing Nora Ephron.
That's why I definitely wanted to throw in that we were two badass women because because it's Nora Ephron and I don't know anything about her. I know that I love her movies, but that's about it. So I'm excited to learn. But knowing that she has like cool women characters, I know we've been dropping the woman thing from the intro, but I did want to add it in.
Nice.
It's Nora Ephron.
Yes, and she is a badass. She's awesome. She is best known for teaching us how to love. Not just romantic love through movies like Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally, and You've Got Mail, but love of food through Julia and Julie and Heartburn, to love family with Hanging Up and her countless articles and essays, and most importantly, to love ourselves even in our worst moments, as seen in all of her work.
Yes.
I was still feeling very, Chamber Award when I wrote that.
Ooh, I love it. And it's true. All of her movies have just been like, do what's right and love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Madeline doesn't know what our cocktail looks like.
I don't. So I don't even know how to ask. Lesley, what are we drinking tonight? Well, I guess what are we drinking tonight?
Yes. So I just found this cocktail from Glenlivet, which is, one of my favorite whiskeys. It's probably actually one of the only whiskeys I really love drinking. It's called What She's Having.
Ooh,
but I decided to add a little twist of calling this is going to be I'll have what she's having, which means that if you ordered it at a bar, you'd have to say I'll have what she's having. And they might already think you're drunk.
It's like Macaulay Culkin changing his middle name to Macaulay Culkin, so now it's Macaulay Culkin.
Yes, nice. Exactly. That's what
you have to get weird and repetitive, but it makes it fun.
So the guy behind you wants to order your drink, you'll be like, I'll have what she's having, which I guess is I'll have what she's having.
Yes, that's so great. And I hope it's girly enough that the man who is ballsy enough to, get rid of our societal expectations of gender roles and
I think,
order it with pride.
You know what? I feel like it's so amazing that this drink was called that, because I feel like it's going to be great for you to guess, because I feel like all of the stuff in the recipe and the way that it tastes and even my own little twist on it is so Nora Ephron. So I'm really excited. So you wanna unveil your drink?
Oh, this is actually kind of
you make
fun.
sure you try to lift it straight up, because
any knockage would be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's basically
it looks like Mickey Mouse ears. That's so cute.
Yeah, so it's it's right now, as Madeline's is seeing it, it's in a little coupe glass with a simple little martini, and there's two pieces of quote unquote pie on top. But they're really it's just brownie with whipped cream.
I was gonna say, I definitely
it's brownie with whipped cream. It's so,
oh my God,
I figure,
it's so cute.
You were saying last time how you really what do you like about a Bloody Mary is the fact that you get to have the salad with your drink, and so I felt like I want to do dessert with your drink, and make it where you have all these little pieces of. If I could, I would have added a little apple pie, but I don't know how to cook something like that. So
this could be my favorite thing I've ever seen in the whole world, hands down. A, we know that I love my snacks with my drinks. B, I become somewhat a serial killer if someone tries to get between me and chocolate. Ooh. And so chocolate, brownies, everything. This is just everything my heart wants. Like a Nora Ephron movie.
Yes, exactly. And I felt like I'm being like Nora Ephron, sister power. I'm going to make you something that you love.
So I'm going to cry. I love this so much.
Well, cheers.
Ooh, and that's good. Oh, goodness, Lordy, I'm going to have a good day.
Yeah. Oh, I should
Not saying it's strong. It's just tasty.
Yeah. Oh, I should say. So, in addition to having these little pieces of pie or cake or whatever on top of it, the drink is 1.5 parts whiskey with a dash of dry vermouth and then a dash of orange bitters, and a dash of triple sec. All shaken, put into a coupe glass, and then, yeah, add some pie to your drink. Why not?
Snacks. Oh my God. Apple pie would have been amazing too, because I love my pies.
You know what? And if you don't want to add pies to it, add some cherries and kind of give it a little bit more of maybe a Manhattan, but it's not quite a Manhattan feel to it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I definitely order those drinks because there's the cherry, and I'm like, I get my snack with it.
Yes. So that was kind of the thing. It's like I wanted it to be something like a Manhattan, but I didn't want it to be a Manhattan.
Oh, I love it so much. How soon can I eat the brownies?
Whenever you want. Just don't chew too loudly, I guess, in our microphones.
I will sit here quietly listening while I quietly snack on my brownie. Is this whipped cream?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, all right. Let me tell you about Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron was born in the Upper West Side of Manhattan on May 19th, 1941. And she grew up there for a little while until she was 4. She's named after the main character in Henry Ibsen's A Doll's House.
Oh my God, stop it. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
They named her after, Nora.
That is so, her parents were hip and cool.
Her parents were playwrights / screenwriters.
Oh, so sick.
Yeah.
Love it. Also,
So she grew up with the whole writer lifestyle. Her parents actually wrote 2 Broadway plays called Three's a Family and Take Her, She's Mine, that were based off of raising Nora when she was a kid.
Okay, I just have to say really fast, too. I'm sorry, I'm still so in love with this drink.
Yeah, go.
So I ate one of the brownie pieces, and then I had a sip of the drink. Nothing is paired more perfectly.
Oh, yay!
I don't know how an apple pie would pair with it, but I do have to say, like, this is the perfect
chocolate
cocktail for a brownie.
Good. You see, I was trying to go for, I was like, I need something that pairs really well with some food, and it should be dessert. Just, even though actually Nora Ephron wasn't super into dessert, but I felt like it should be dessert.
It was a good dessert. And Leslie did see me in my total snackage way and how I secretly eat celery after our last recording. So I think she knows how much I'm just like a somewhat like rabbit who's just loving snacks. And this is amazing.
Yay.
Sorry. Okay, let's go back to Nora.
So Nora and her family, yes, they're screenwriters. They made 2 plays based off of like raising her. But so even though she was born in Manhattan, when she was 5, she was, quote, ripped out of New York City and plopped into Beverly Hills. And so her family moved to Beverly Hills, basically. But it's her way of saying,
so dramatic.
Yes, yeah, she didn't like it.
I love it though. That's very dramatic for a move from New York City to Beverly Hills.
I know, it's like Beverly Hills isn't that bad, like, but you know, New York's
Hills
better. But yeah. But still, it's like that's a great place to live. You know?
But I was ripped.
Yes. So when she was really young, she decided that she was going to move back to New York someday and become the next Dorothy Parker because she loved journalism and she saw New York as being her real home. Yay. So she has 3 younger sisters, Delia, Amy, and Haley.
Okay, wait. Nora, Delia.
Yeah.
Anything literary related?
What do you mean? Oh, I don't know if they...
I was kind of hoping. I was ready for like 3 other major literary references, but I'm like, Delia, I don't know.
Yeah.
Haley, I wouldn't know.
Amy could be anyone, you know?
Little Women, maybe.
Yeah, it could. And then Haley, which I don't know. So, I mean, it could...
So she got the better end of that stick.
Yeah, you know, maybe when they're playwrights and then now they're screenwriters, and you know, so they're like, oh, we'll just name them names we like, I guess.
It's like,
who knows? Who knows? Yeah, good question. But I will say all 4, I guess, you know, of the sisters all become writers. Or actually,
family business.
Nora, Delia, and Amy all become screenwriters. And Haley becomes a journalist and a crime fiction novelist. So, yeah. So everyone else went into screenwriting and Haley's like, I'm into crime. Murders are my jam.
Well, she fit in with the modern era female.
Yeah.
So nicely.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's probably still alive.
Yeah.
Too.
So
she does fit in.
Yeah. So growing up with writers for parents, Nora developed a deep sense of humor. Whenever something terrible happened to her, her mother would always tell her, quote, everything is copy. Nora, quote, I now believe what my mother meant is this. When you slip on a banana peel, everyone laughs at you. But when you tell people that you slipped on a banana peel, it's your laugh. You become the hero rather than the victim of the joke.
Oh, God, I do. I love that so much.
I love it. I'm like, new mantra. Like, that's just how I'm going to live my life from now on.
Yeah, I'm going to beat people to it and just be like, oh, this is what happened to me. Now I'm the hero.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I already feel like I already do that sometimes, but I've never had like the right words to describe that. Like, yeah, it makes you kind of feel better. Like, yeah, doing stand-up comedy, it's all about like, okay, here, let me tell you about the most horrible stuff in my life, and we will laugh together about it instead of you just laughing because you heard that something like that happened to me.
empathy, chuckle, whatever.
Yeah.
Versus like, okay,
yeah,
like you're laughing with me, it's fun. Then the other person maybe not even feel uncomfortable. You know, it's like, it's like, oh, I can be with you in this moment, and it's funny.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think it's great. So
love it.
Yeah. As her sister Delia put it, quote, whenever I would say something funny at the dinner table, my dad would always say, that's funny, write that down. And so, you know, so that was like that was how they lived their life. You know, someone comes home from school and is all like, oh, this kind of funny thing happened or whatever. And her parents would be like, oh, you have to write that down. Go write that down. You know,
cool.
Raise them to be writers.
Yeah.
So Nora ends up attending Wellesley. Ugh, I still can never say it when I see it. I'm like, well, Leslie.
Remember that from last time. Yeah. It's a struggle one. And
yes.
You keep ending up with it.
I know. I'm like, damn it. People stop going to Wellesley.
Yeah, I don't think I did anyone that went to Wellesley.
No. So yeah, she ended up going to Wellesley where she studied journalism, graduating in 1962. And after college, she became an intern at the White House for John F. Kennedy, which is probably the closest she would ever get to one of her childhood dreams, being the daughter of a president. Nora, quote, I've always wanted that as a child. I always wanted that as a child because I thought the president's daughter probably gets a lot of dates.
Hey, super cool that she's working for the president.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that that's her goal in life, is to be the president's daughter because she gets dates. And then it makes me think of that Disney movie from like the 90s. Oh. My Date with the President's Daughter.
Oh,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
miserable that date was. It's like, yeah, she probably doesn't want that.
Yeah. But she probably was just like, I would just be happy to have dates. Because, you know, she's skinny and kind of awkward looking and stuff, especially a lot. And when she was younger. And so it's like, you know, it's like, I just want to, can someone just date me? If I was famous, you know, like someone would probably date me. So after,
I mean, we all feel like that at one point. I pretended to be a mermaid, so.
Yes, that's right. So
we all
have these things.
We all have our outlets of love me.
Yeah.
Love me, I'm the president's daughter.
Yeah.
Love me, I'm a mermaid.
Yeah. Exactly. So after her internship, she finally makes her way back to New York after accepting a job at Newsweek in the mailroom and quickly moving up to becoming a researcher. So she actually had applied to be a writer, but Newsweek at the time didn't hire female writers.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, they only had male girls. So that's all you could really do is like be a male girl. And so like the best she could do was be, you know, a researcher for articles at Newsweek.
In the 60s?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is
in the 60s. Never mind. Hello.
Yes. So Nora and a bunch of other women participated in a class action gender discrimination lawsuit, against Newsweek. And it's actually been fictionalized for the Amazon series called Good Girls Revolt, which I haven't seen. And I'm like, now I might see it now that I've, you know.
Yeah, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it in passing or something. You know, and I'm like, what's that about? I don't know. Okay, apparently it's about Nora Ephron.
Cool.
Or at least, you know, her life in the 60s. Yeah. It's also during her time at Newsweek that there was, I think this is right, that there was the International Topographical Union strike. So none of the newspapers were printing during that time, or most of them weren't, you know, that were part of the union. So Nora and a couple of her friends, this guy like Calvin Trilling and some other people, started a satirical paper. And it was successful enough that her satirical pieces on actual New York Post articles caught the eye of their publisher, Dorothy Schiff. So when the strike was over, Dorothy hired Nora to be a reporter for the New York Post.
Dorothy Parker.
No, Dorothy Schiff.
Oh, Dorothy Schiff.
Yeah. No, at this point in time, Dorothy Parker is in the 60s and she's probably going to die soon.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah. But
scratch that from the record.
Another Dorothy.
I just kept hearing Dorothy, and you said the last name,
Dorothy
but it like shifted in my head. Okay, that's super cool. Okay, so now she's up, she's writing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. So yeah, she's over at the Post.
Okay.
And and this was an extremely successful time for her, and she did really much enjoy it. But let's drop some Nora Ephron advice for writers.
Oh God, yes, please. Okay.
So Nora, quote, "The Post was a terrible newspaper in the era that I worked there. The writers for the Post were treated far more shabbily than reporters for other newspapers. It was far more difficult to get an interview with whomever you were writing about. I remember reading the Sunday New York Times Arts and Leisure section and wondering why the reporters were able to spend entire days with their subjects that I could barely get to see. It never crossed my mind that it might have had more to do with the clout of the publication involved than with the charm of the reporter. But the point is this: I was better off with my 45 minutes because I was forced to write around the subject." And so, basically because of, being on this low-end newspaper, what was a low-end newspaper at the time, one, taught her to try to be more charming of a person, I guess, and, be like, hey, and also be able to, before she interviews anyone who she's going to be writing about, to be interview family and friends and, coworkers or anyone else or anything, else around them, call up some random, school teacher or something, and just talk to those people. And then it makes it easier when you're in that interview to be able to just okay, I have all these questions based off of all these people around you that I've talked to.
You can get straight to the point.
Yeah.
More concise writing.
Yeah.
And Too much fluff if you just are I'm only getting from this one perspective. Too much information from that one's perspective.
Yeah.
Helps it kind of like stay focused.
Right.
With multiple resources. I like it.
Yeah. And just like find your story before you even interview the person, instead of like, okay, now I have this interview and I have all this information. Like, what am I writing about exactly for this person's life? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made her a better writer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, made her a really good writer.
Yeah. And so, and you know, and she started to learn to write in first person and be able to be like more personable while she was writing at the Post, because, you know, she realized, oh, people really kind of like this, especially when it comes to, you know, arts and leisure kind of subjects and stuff. So after leaving the Post, she publishes her first collection of essays that she wrote for magazines called Wallflower at the Orgy. It was really good.
Sorry. Wallflower of the Orgy.
At the Orgy. Because she described being like a journalist as being like, you're at this orgy, and also how she felt like about her own life, that she felt like if she was at an orgy, she would constantly be worried about like just laying there and nobody's like wanting to have sex with her, you know, and like, and so she'd be like more of the person just kind of standing over in the corner being like, oh, I don't know, I guess, you know, maybe I'll just come across a little less wanting to be involved, even though I want to be involved, but I don't.
Should I place a hand here? Nope, no, I'm good. Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah. And then she felt like, you know, being a reporter sometimes felt like that, where it's like you're with all of this excitement, all these cool things are happening around you, but like you're just sort of sitting there scribbling.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So it includes a bunch of essays that she wrote for Esquire magazine and Cosmopolitan, with much of the focus on frivolous things: fashion, trashy books, show business, and Nora's favorite, food. Nora, quote, "I could call these subjects popular culture, but I like writing about them so much that I hate to think that they have to be justified in this way." I think that's cute.
Yeah.
It's like, no, let me just write about my frivolous stuff. Don't like make it all like pop culture.
Yeah, like, yeah, because then, because I totally am into pop culture stuff, and a lot of times I was like, oh, it's like with the highly intellectuals.
Yeah.
That are like, it's just pop culture. It's just pop,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, but I like that. Why does it have to fit in your box? That's like how you define what it is.
Yeah, or isn't it okay to like frivolous things? I feel like she would be she's the host at our best friend dinner party, you
Oh,
know?
God,
Because I'm
yes.
like, I want to hear her and Oscar Wilde have conversations.
Yes. Oh God, I would pay good money for that one.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes. Especially because they'd both be like, let's talk about all things frivolous.
Yeah.
But I would love it. I would be like, oh my God, let's totally talk about that fashion piece.
Yeah. Yes. But the, you know, and still, I don't know, still like give some, you know, deeper meaning. I don't know. It's anyway, I would love that.
Oh God, yes.
So in 1972, she gained the attention for writing a humorous essay in Esquire titled A Few Words About Breasts, which made her famous as an essayist and also as a humorous writer.
Cool.
Yeah. And also in the 70s, she published 2 other collections of essays, including Scribble Scribble is the title of one, and Crazy Salad.
Crazy salad.
Yeah.
Whoa, watch out for that crazy salad.
Yeah. If anything describes her style, it's how she was so willing to put her personal life and opinions out there while still being warm and endearing and incredibly funny. But at the same time, she never held back writing negatively about people who helped her, that she worked for, the institutions that made her, or men she had dated. Like, she was totally willing to be like, let me tell you some maybe not so great stuff. But she does it with this like warm and endearing way. Like she wrote this article about Dorothy Schiff, you know, who like gave her
Parker,
break.
the shift.
Yes. And she starts off the article being like, it really pains me to write this. Like, I hate that I have to say these negative things, but I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, so she's real. She's very real and she's honest, you know, and that just, people love her.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Well, I mean, anything called crazy salad, I'll probably read.
Yes. So let's rewind for a second.
Okay.
In the 1960s, when Nora was just this funny writer, she's introduced to Dan Greenberg, who wrote How to Be a Jewish Mother. And it's during this marriage where one of Nora's lesser-known passions evolves.
Okay, wait. So she married this guy.
Yeah, she married this guy.
So she meets him, gets married to him.
Yes.
And new passion arises.
Yes, she loves hosting dinner parties.
Oh, stop it. I love her. Oh, my God. She could be my spirit animal.
Yes. Greenberg would later say how they would be out at some like cocktail party in Manhattan, and Nora, he could see Nora just like walk up to like some famous person, and she'd just be like, you know, hi, I'm Nora Ephron. Hey, if I invited you to a dinner party this weekend, would you come? And no one ever said no to her. They all like, they're like, I don't know who she is, but cool. Like, she sounds fun. Like, yeah, I'll go hang out at your house and go to a dinner party.
Yeah.
And so that became like a big known thing, a thing that's like known for throughout the rest of her life. Is she was known for like writing about dinner parties and just like hosting amazing fun dinner parties, you know. She like loved playing hostess and like, you know, I'm going to make food, or even if I order food in, I'm going to make sure the conversation's good. We're all happy and drinking and hanging out and just, you know.
Music's got to be good. Things got to look nice. Lighting's got to be perfect.
Yes, just getting people together.
I think
and
about a lot.
Yes.
More than I have ever admitted until this moment.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got to read some of her like books stuff that she writes about dinner parties, because it's truly the like she, I feel like, is so much more eloquent about how to really do it right and make everyone have a good time than someone like Emily Post or, you know, any of that etiquette-y kind of stuff. It's more like her version is just like, here's how to make sure you have a good time. Like, don't be hanging out in the kitchen and don't be stressed and stuff like that. Like, you know, and make sure you have a round table, because then, you know, everyone can have a conversation. You're not, you know, putting people in these corners. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know,
hey, I've got a round table.
Yeah.
And right now I'm actively mapping out the outside of my house of what kind of like gatherings I can have on like the lower front deck, the upper front deck, the side, the back. Oh, I've got all of the plans for all of the decorations.
I am so ready to host a dinner party at your house.
Yeah.
I'm there with you. I'm in.
We can host together. We can be co-hosts.
Because I'm like, I can't host a dinner party at my house. I'm not getting a table.
But yeah, we should have. I'm like so excited.
Yes, we're totally doing this. We're gonna have a Nora Ephron dinner party.
Yes.
So let's go back to the 1970s now.
Okay.
Mid 1970s.
So fast forwarding again.
Yes. I don't know.
I liked it. I worked with it. I did like a forward running somewhat motion.
But people can't see that. You gotta, you know,
So you put the
verbalize it in
That's
some
true.
way.
Okay, so verbalizing, I'm running forward in a motion while she's making a fast forward sound.
It's running.
Oh. You pant very quickly while running.
I don't
I'm
pant
more like,
when I run. All right. So anyway, we're back in the 1970s.
Back in the 70s with this amazing cocktail.
Yes. There's this party. It's perfect. You hold your cocktail up. There's this party in New York that's being thrown by a fellow hit journalist, Marie Brenner. And it's kind of the who's who of the journalism scene. All right.
Okay.
Nora is recently divorced.
Oh.
Yeah. That relationship didn't last. It's all good. And so she's striking up this conversation with her friend, Marie Brenner's ex-boyfriend, Carl Bernstein. And he asks for her number, and he tells her, I'll call you in a few days. But he doesn't. He calls her the next day.
Oh, see, that's how it should be. None of this 3 dates or 3 nights rule, whatever.
Yes. So I know I saw you do a little side eye of like Carl Bernstein.
Yeah.
Yes. So at the time, Carl Bernstein was one of the most famous journalists. This is 1975 or 70 when they met.
Okay.
So at the time that they met, Carl Bernstein and his partner, Bob Woodward, were famous for breaking the Watergate scandal in the New York Post after an anonymous source, only known as Deep Throat, provided them key information on the illegal espionage that occurred at the Democratic Party's Watergate headquarters. And they won a Pulitzer Prize for their reporting.
Oh.
And he's like, who's this awesome, charming girl that I'm meeting at my ex-girlfriend's house?
Wow. And she's like, here's this guy. Hello.
Yeah.
Wow. Get it, Nora.
Yeah. And so she even calls up her friend Marie afterwards, like, oh, is it okay if I go out? And she's like, yeah, I'm totally over him. Like, go date him. You know?
Oh, that's sweet. Female power.
Yeah. And so, and he's totally in love with her and totally enamored with her. But she knew, like, he's kind of a player and, but, they moved to Washington. So she moves to Washington, D.C. to live with him. And they marry in 1976. And they had a son, Jacob.
Aww.
Wow,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm also like I would like to take a poll of, okay, whose name would people be like, yes, Carl Bernstein or Nora Ephron? I feel like I should have known who Carl Bernstein was because that's a huge moment in our country's history.
Yeah.
But I didn't. But I know who Nora Ephron was.
But see, I feel like also, though, with saying Carl Bernstein as opposed to saying Woodward and Bernstein, it's also the phrasing. I don't know.
I think I would have clicked even with that. I feel bad, but yeah. I was like, I knew the name. Obviously, I did the shift of like, that name sounds familiar. But I didn't know. But I'm like, oh yeah, Nora Ephron. Oh, hello. Every fall, gotta watch FOX.
Yeah. You've got mail.
Thank you. I realized I should have referenced the movie first and then did the quote.
All right. So they're there. They're in Washington, D.C. Together, they write this screenplay version of his book, All the President's Men, which is about the Watergate thing. Mm-hmm. And the studio wasn't into it. They're like, I don't know about this screenplay. But it did get her notice. Like, they're like, we're not going to use this screenplay for this. But, hey, you've got a cool voice. Do you want to write some other stuff for us? She's like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then at this point, she's pregnant with her second son, Max, when she found out that Carl was having an affair with another woman. So Nora files for divorce in 1980 and ends up spending 6 months in bed eating mashed potatoes and pie, or at least that's kind of how I imagine it. And that's kind of what she wrote too. She talks about how it's so great to like sit in bed with a giant thing of mashed potatoes and wallow.
Can't say I've done mashed potatoes.
I would
but
see
pie, yeah. Pie I've done.
Yes.
General snacks. Again, I have an addiction to snacks.
And while she's also doing all this wallowing, she decides to write about the experience of, being with a husband who's having an affair while you're pregnant. Which
so shitty.
Would later become...
an affair itself is shitty, but then also while you're pregnant?
Yeah.
It's like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So her writing of the experience becomes the hit novel and later Academy Award nominated film starring Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep, Heartburn. The film ended up being part of their divorce settlement in later years because like basically like Carl, he was okay with the fact that it's like, okay, yes, I mean, you wrote the book. And so, sure, everyone, you can portray me as this philanderer, but like, please don't portray me as like a bad father, like, I don't want my kids to watch this movie someday and think that like I was a bad father.
Yeah. Wouldn't they make that judgment on themselves?
I mean, but when you're that young and it's like, oh, was my dad like a really shitty person when I was like 2 years old?
Well, you did have an affair on my mom while pregnant with me.
Yeah. So, but he just didn't want to be seen as a bad father. So that was like part of their divorce settlement. Anyway. When I do want to say after they got divorced, anytime anyone asked Nora Ephron, like, so do you know who Deep Throat is? She'd be like, yeah, it's Mark Felt. Like, it doesn't matter if it was like a close friend. Like, she was at a college once, like giving like a lecture, and some kids like, do you know who Deep Throat is? And she's like, Mark Felt. And like, but it like never got any media attention because like she was just so open and honest and like ho hum, like, oh, I don't know if I should tell you, that like no one really believed that maybe she, like, they all kind of were like, maybe she doesn't actually know, like. And then turns out
it's Mark Felt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I guess it can go both ways. If you say things with confidence, people will believe you, but maybe if you say it with just too much confidence,
yeah, they're like, are you just being like bitter wife right now,
like, are you
or
kind of,
I don't
like,
know, yeah,
making a joke?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah. So apparently, if anyone had asked, like, she would have told you. She's a very honest person. So before her Heartburn was a movie, in 1983, Nora wrote Silkwood with Alice Erlin about the true story of Karen Silkwood, who was a whistleblower at a nuclear facility that dies under mysterious circumstances. And that screenplay earns her first Academy Award nomination. So, basically by like 1984, she's written like the only 2 screenplays that she's ever written that have been produced have both been nominated for Academy Awards.
Wow. Wow. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
So let's flash back again a little bit. So, after or before the movie, after the divorce, Nora finds her next true love. In February of 1980, she meets an apartment.
Which is totally amazing, because you can fall in love with a location.
Yes,
so hard.
And it's an apartment at the Apthorpe complex in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And so at the time, Heartburn is like 3 years away from being a bestseller, 6 years away from getting her an Oscar nomination. She's, like, broke is like a loose term because like
yeah.
I mean she herself is not successful, her husband is successful,
yeah.
So she's broke, but she's got money coming on the way, and like
yeah,
and she's alone.
Just hold on hope for a few more years.
But at least she has this like new place to heal in, and she like, I guess apparently she walked like 10 feet into the apartment and like immediately was like, okay, I want this place. Like she didn't even like see the rest of it. She's just like told the broker or whatever, like, yeah, no, I'll take it.
This is my home.
In the Upper West Side, and I think that's where then all of her movies for the most part have this either they are in the Upper West Side or they have the vibe of that place,
yes.
that area.
Oh, I mean, most of her movies definitely pay a really good homage to New York, Manhattan specifically. I mean, like even in You've Got Mail, they're like,
oh my gosh,
talk about how like the different seasons and how New York is beautiful in each season and why it's beautiful.
And then you see it with
they do, and it's like, oh, they've got the shots in Central Park with the tulips or the fall leaves, or you're like, oh, New York is pretty year round.
Yes.
I've only been in close to, actually at Christmas time, and it was absolutely magical. So
Yes,
then
notice
I was there
how-
for Memorial Day weekend. It wasn't like amazing.
Yes, notice how summer is suspiciously left out of You've Got Mail. It's fall, winter, and spring.
Yes.
And that's it. It's because it's like, no one wants for that.
I mean, it was fun because it was Fleet Week, so it's like still fun, cool things are happening.
Yeah,
It's such a great
but-
city, but it was still like that
summer.
mugginess.
Yeah. So, so she's up there and that's where she writes all of her stuff. And that's why all of her stuff is amazing. Anyway, no, not just because she was there, but
She's got the inspiration of New York.
yes. So then overall, the 1980s are extremely successful for her. Her next big thing is in 1986. She writes the movie When Harry Met Sally, which is then produced in 1989, starring Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. And it's also nominated for Best Original Screenplay.
I love When Harry Met Sally
It's so
much.
good. Oh my God. Yes.
I mean, her fake orgasm scene.
So let me talk about that.
Okay, yes.
Yes. She does say that the infamous moment where Meg Ryan's character fakes an orgasm in the middle of a restaurant was Meg Ryan's idea. Like, so they had written out the whole thing about like, oh, women fake it, da 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 da. And Meg Ryan's like, oh, what if I actually just do it,
Oh,
you
I
know?
love Meg.
And,
Yes, Meg.
and they're like,
Get
you
it,
really
girl."
want to? Yeah. And so, so that was Meg's idea. And then it was Billy Crystal's idea to have the old lady who says, I'll have what she's having.
Yes. Oh, making me so happy. I heard, now correct me because you've done the research, so this was just like gossipy rumor type thing, that the extras on set did not know she was about to do that, except for the old
interesting.
lady. But it was like everybody
which
else.
is Rob Reiner's mom.
That's hilarious. I heard that was just like completely, no one was expecting it. They thought it was just like, we're going to shoot this one scene.
Huh.
I heard that. It could be
See,
rumors.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that could be maybe true, but I also feel like, because I feel like when you're an extra, you're told to just like, unless they tell you like, hey, can you stare at this or do this or whatever. Like they're, it's always usually like, don't pay any attention to. So I feel like it would be a disservice to not tell them that that's going to happen because then you're going to have like somebody in the background who's doing this like shifty eye thing of like, I want to look, but I'm supposed to just pretend I'm still in my conversation with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but watch the
so-
scene again and see, like, because I think they all are staring at her.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I think they were told not like that they knew it was going to happen
Okay.
as opposed to
Like, make sure you
Yes.
stare at her.
Yeah, because the thing is that like a lot of times with extras you don't have like you don't actually have actors playing extras, it's like normal people, and so you have to tell them, don't stare at the actors, don't stare at the cameras, and
That's true.
And so
okay, so it was probably rumored.
yeah
But I did think it was funny. I was like, oh, just Meg Ryan coming in and shocking all those people.
I bet it was still shocking because she goes on for a while in that
It
scene,
is,
where
it is.
it's gorgeous. It's a great moment.
I just love that whole movie so much. I mean, and
Yes.
Billy Crystal is just gold, and
He's amazing. Yeah, it's like the most adorable thing. I mean, they got him another Academy Award nomination for her, so she's at 3 now. 3. I mean, she hasn't won any, but
she's
still
never won any.
not at this point.
Okay. I can't keep track of awards and wins and all that
Yes.
good stuff. So
Okay, so and then it's also around this time that she meets and marries the writer Nicholas Pileggi. I want to say this is how I pronounce his last name.
sure,
Nick. And he is basically famous for writing books about the mafia and then adapting them into screenplays that Martin Scorsese directs.
Awesome, totally Nora.
Like and so he's like the greatest love of Nora Ephron's life, and they complement each other so well. I feel like even just you look at their writing and you have this guy who's like very like just soft and gentle and very sweet in real life, and then he's writing like hardcore mafia stuff like Casino and like Goodfellas and stuff like that. And then you have Nora who's just like really tough and strong and in her personal life, and then she's writing all this like fluffy like romantic comedies that are all sweet
that's a good balance. That's a good balance.
Yes. Okay. So the best example of the fact that like they're dynamic and who they are. They both interviewed Henry Hill, who is the guy that Goodfellas, the mafia guy who Goodfellas is based off of. And 2 months before Goodfellas came out, Nora Ephron's movie that she wrote, My Blue Heaven, which is also about Henry Hill. So it's like My Blue Heaven is Steve Martin and Rick Moranis. And
I don't think I've seen that one.
oh, it's it's okay. It's funny, it's like mafia guy who has to go into like witness protection and all of that, and so it's like a goofy version of like the mafia story, and then you have the Goodfellas, which is Martin Scorsese version of a mafia story.
I know the Goodfellas. So that's a very like
okay. Yeah. I feel like that would be a good back-to-back watching. And because they both interviewed Henry Hill at the same time, because they're this like cool power couple, and then they both come up with these completely different movies based off of those interviews.
I love it. It's
One's a
balance.
comedy with Steve Martin,
Yeah. I think they're a good balance. I mean, I'm definitely more Nora because I like lighthearted fun. Zach knows that I always like to have my rom-com nights with my drunk on my face, aka mask. He says I look like Hannibal Lecter, but you know what? Whatever. Have my glass of wine and a little bit of chocolate. Oh, come on.
Yes.
Nora.
Yes. It's so good to do that.
So
you got to do it.
soul.
It's so hopeful and optimistic. And so, yes. So, so after this whole string of writing successes that Nora has, she decides to give directing a shot with the film This Is My Life. Nora and her sister Delia wrote the script based off of the novel of the same name. And it's this novel about the single mom who decides to become a stand-up comedian after inheriting a large sum of money. And so they both felt like they really related to like the idea of like a creative mom, and they were being sisters and all of that. And so they wrote this together. This is actually one of the first things that she writes with her sister, and it's the first movie she directs. And she would even later claim that she made the film in order to impress Woody Allen. Because it's got like some cute, like, and actually rewatching all of her movies, it's like very clear that Woody Allen was kind of an influence on how she directed things. Like there's a lot of, I'm like, oh, I totally see it. Like when Harry Met Sally, the way it's written and stuff. I'm like,
the conversation, filming the conversations and
yes,
walking. Yes.
It's
that's
so Woody
what's
Allen.
That one movie?
Annie Hall.
Annie Hall.
It's got major Annie Hall vibes.
But I like Nora Ephron better.
In 1983, she also directs another script that she wrote, Sleepless in Seattle. Once again, starring Meg Ryan, this time alongside Tom Hanks, and also wins her another Oscar nomination.
And I have to say, Seattle definitely, if you go into the Seattle, I mean, like having lived there, it was really the only place that I saw it. But every store in the SeaTac airport has 90s that say Sleepless in Seattle.
Of course.
And I wanted to get one.
That's
and Zach
so
was like,
dorky.
No, you can't do it. I'm like, but I want it, please. And he's like, no. So I never did get one. Yeah. So if anyone wants to get me a cool random gift because you're awesome listeners, I would love a Sleepless in Seattle 90.
Oh.
I wanted one. But what I love about Sleepless in Seattle is that it's not it is like a rom-com-y. Like she disguises this like these two individual journeys as a rom-com, but it's not necessarily about that.
Yeah.
It's about these two individuals that strengthen relationships because of the promise of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I love it. That's why I love it.
There is almost this element of like, if you love yourself, then maybe you can get to have like a real love, because that's what ends up happening for them.
Hope, change, blossom, she comes into her career. He has his son. Like he was so consumed by the grief of his wife who had passed that, he couldn't even like bond with his son, but he's finally bonding with his son. And also just another fun side note in Sleepless in Seattle, the woman who plays Tom Hanks' sister. Yeah. You know who that is? It's his wife. Like his wife. Oh,
Rita Wilson. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. That's how they met.
Was that how they met?
I think that's how they met, right? Okay. Or no, because
Colin Hanks is older than that.
Yeah. That's
Colin
right.
Hanks is like in his 40s.
No, but
now.
Colin Hanks isn't Rita Wilson's son.
He's not?
No.
Oh, I thought he was.
No, don't Google it later.
Okay.
But that's how you get Chet Hanks. Is from Rita Wilson, the guy who's all like, it's white boy summer. Anyway, if you don't know who he is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's like the anti Tom Hanks, and it's real sad. Anyway, don't Google it.
I won't Google him. Colin Hanks, I followed his career because he went to Chapman. Yeah. So I was kind of like, brothers no. I don't know a lot of famous people go to Chapman. It's a small weird private school that's definitely got a good film school, but I don't know a lot of famous people there. So
that's he's from a different marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know Tom Hanks was married beforehand.
Yeah. When he was
You
young.
need to have like a whole
College.
podcast about just famous people and their lives.
Let's do it.
Anyway.
Okay. So, after Sleepless in Seattle, then she has a streak of bad films. I mean, everyone does. Nora, quote, "Well, everyone has flops and no one wants to talk about them. The truth is, I don't think that you learn anything from failure. All I think that you learn from failure, honest to God, is that it's entirely possible to fail again."
That's a very dark way of looking at it, but okay. Not expecting that from Nora.
She's, when you read her stuff, like, she's definitely dark. And people were actually kind of surprised that she ended up doing so many, like, romantic comedies and being known for that because, like, yeah, she writes as like a Dorothy Parker kind of tone. Like she's got a dark side to her that's
comedically
fun,
dark,
which is probably why she
comedic.
makes such good romantic comedies, because it's not like she's like, oh, fluffy, yay, romantic love. Like she's kind of like, no, let's be real people. But yeah, so she's now in a place where she's pretty sure she's probably, she's never going to make another movie ever again, or no one's going to like, help her make movies. She's not going to be able to have them produced by studios and stuff because it's just like bad stuff. But then in 1998, she directs You've Got Mail, which she co-wrote with her sister Delia. And it once again stars rom-com power couple Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. And it's freaking amazing and everyone loves it.
I mean, yeah, you definitely need that power couple.
Yeah.
Even though they were always just friends, but
yeah, but they're so good together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great on screen.
Great chemistry.
Yeah, because they're both so talented. They're both funny. They both know how to like play off of each other. And give each other. They both have
like a sweet, doughy innocence, but also a toughness.
Yeah,
they have the both like levels and. Anyway.
Soon after that movie, Nora decides that she wants to adapt her sister Delia's book, Hanging Up, into a movie. So Delia, she had written this novel back in the early 1990s, and it's all about Delia, her and how, like, dealing with her father's death, and, with her and her sisters. But, like, the thing is that, like, they ended up having a lot of fights when they were adapting the into a screenplay, because what Delia never wrote in the book was that Nora wasn't there when their father was dying, and she didn't even show up to the funeral. And Delia decided not to write that because she didn't want to, make her powerhouse, amazing, successful sister look bad. And so, of course, so they're both dealing with like a lot of stuff like that they never dealt with like a decade ago. And so it's like a bad situation. And essentially after they finish the script, they don't speak to each other for a while.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And so that screenplay, Hanging Up, is the first time, like, since 1992, since like Nora started directing, she has directed everything that she's written. And this is the first time she, since then, that she does not direct something that she's written. Instead, she directs this film, Lucky Numbers, which is awful. And
her heart's not in it.
What?
Her heart's not in it.
Yeah, she didn't, and Lucky
trauma.
Numbers is actually the only film that she ever directed that she never wrote.
Yeah.
So it's and probably so instead Diane Keaton directs Hanging Up, which is kind of cool. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's like, what?
Diane Keaton stars and directs Hanging Up. Diane Keaton's one of the dinner party fun guests, so it's probably like, oh, I'll take it on and I'll direct it or something. And I've always wanted to direct, and all this like bad blood going on between like Nora and her sister, and so she probably, she didn't want to. She's just like, I'm done with the script. We wrote the script together. It was really a bad experience. Let someone else take it on. And
have you seen the movie?
It's it's not great. I remember like thinking this is gonna be so cool because it's Diane Keaton, Meg Ryan, and Lisa Kudrow. Lisa Kudrow plays like the younger sister, which seems so weird to me because I always just imagine her being so old, but I think that's just because we're young. And
yeah. She can't be a young sister.
Yeah, no, I'm like, what? She's the little sister? That's weird, But I mean, it's kind of fun and cute, but it's not great. It's not a great movie. It really does feel like there's just not the same heart in it that there should be. It feels like, oh, this could have been amazing, but it just isn't quite there. And I think there's just too much bad blood and like things that people weren't dealing with at that time. And now, it's just, I'm sure the book that Dahlia wrote was amazing, that like, I bet the book's better than the movie.
Well, I'm just very curious. I don't think I've seen anything that Diane Keaton would have directed.
I don't know if she ever directed anything else.
I love her as an actress, but she's kind of spazzy, so.
So in 2002, Nora's first play that she ever wrote, Imaginary Friends, premieres on Broadway, and it receives decent reviews. She also writes a play with her sister called Love, Loss, and What I Wore, because of course they make up, because like they're pretty much like best friends. Yeah. By the way, I also have to say that Dahlia wrote Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, like the screenplay off of that, and so it's like she's like all about sisterhood, like she gets it.
So that like helps it like revitalize.
She's like, yeah, she's.
I have a very strong connection to
Love,
Sisterhood.
Loss. Sisterhood. Oh, really?
Pants. So that makes me really happy that I have like a weird like 4 degrees of separation from Nora Ephron. It's very, very distant. Growing up, my mom and I had a book club, and mother-daughter book club. We ended up on Good Morning America, and our pick for Good Morning America's book of the month was The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. The second one.
Nice.
So I picked that book, who then the sister of Nora Ephron directed the movie. I'm seeing a connection.
She wrote the screenplay.
I mean, what did I say?
Directed.
Wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
I meant that. So I feel connected.
Yeah. Maybe she saw you on Good Morning America. She's like, oh, girls, like, kids love this. Like, maybe I should write this into a movie.
Yeah, because the movie came out after we did that. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Stop it. I'm blushing. I can't handle
Let's ask her someday.
Okay.
Did you see a cute girl on Good Morning America back when you wrote that?
It was like 2002. Do you remember this? I love it.
Oh, Love, Loss, and What I Wore that they wrote together has like rave reviews. They get like sold out audience in like London, New York, Los Angeles, Canada, like everywhere. It's just like an amazing big hit play. So, yay.
Yes. Okay. And now we're in the early 2000s.
Yes, we're in the early 2000s.
Okay, my life is a lie, but that's okay.
In late 2005, Nora Ephron goes to a doctor because, as she told her son Jacob, she was feeling, quote, punky. Aww. She ends up getting diagnosed with melophysialic disease, which is like this aggressive blood disorder that destroys the body's ability to heal blood cells and ward off infections. Oh no! And the odds aren't great.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
So she's told like, oh, here's this type of treatment, which is like, but she kind of decides like, I could either live the rest of my life trying to like treat myself and try to just like live longer, or I can just like live my life. So she basically decides, I'm not going to tell anyone. Like to the point where it's like nobody knew that she had anything going on. This is 2005. No one knew that there was anything. And even her family, like when she's talking to her son, she's like, oh, well, so this is what's going on, but I'm not going to give you the name of what I have because I don't want you to Google it, because I don't want you to like, Google it and worry about how long I'm going to live or anything. And so
both of her sons?
Yeah.
Okay, you just
because a lot of the stuff that I sourced is from stuff that he like wrote and stuff.
From his,
so that's where it comes from his perspective.
I don't think this is probably up there with sadness for the death of an author. Usually we do such old people, it's kind of like, oh, that sucks, but it was like, meh. Yeah. I mean, like sad, but like, I'm actually really, I don't know if I want to hear this ending.
Well, that's the way it always is for me.
No.
Life sucks, then it gets good, and then it sucks, Madeline.
Yeah, but hers was just like super duper awesome.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, it's still okay. It's still okay, Madeline. She's keeping this illness from everyone, but she lives so much and ends up producing and writing more in the end of her life than basically the rest, like her whole. Okay, so like. The play that she wrote with her sister is just like constantly being produced. She starts writing another play. She writes her first book that she's written since Heartburn, titled I Feel Bad About My Neck and Other Thoughts About Being a Woman, which is a really, really great book. She writes and directs the hit movie Julia and Julie, which, if you don't know, is all about one of Nora's big loves, cooking and eating. And actually, also if you look at it, it's also about like a deep loving relationship. So you could say it's about Nora and Nick, you know, and and what was going on in their lives, because it's like you kind of have that with Julia and Stanley Tucci's character, you know, where they're so in love and so cute.
Amy Adams' character with her husband too. Like he was, I mean, I love that movie and I've watched it like 6 billion times.
And you have this relationship with her sister and her where they're so cute together.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that's all very factual. Like Julia Child was very, very close to her sister, and especially because they were both very tall from the South, felt awkward and uncomfortable in their skin.
But to show that on screen, I mean, she didn't have to show the sister on screen.
Because it was her time in Paris that she was showing.
Yeah, and so it's like to bring up the sister stuff, it's like, it really probably was like, this is me writing my love letter to my sister, you know?
I love and Julia. Even Zach liked Julia and Julia.
Everyone loves it. If they don't know that people who don't love it, they just don't know yet that they love it.
Except for I didn't like the end.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair.
That last like 2 minutes.
I mean, that's fair. Because yeah. I mean, I get it because I mean, it's hard when you're doing real people, but you know, anyway, so Julie and Julia, I mean, there's also Bewitched in there somewhere, but we're not going to talk about that.
I mean, it was still a fun
Julia
movie.
and Julia was the last movie that Nora Ephron ever made. Okay.
I feel like Bewitched was before.
It was like 2 years before or something. Yeah, so, and then she writes another book. I mean, she's writing a bunch of books. Oh, she wrote over 100 articles for Huffington Post. I mean, she is like on it with all of her stuff. Like,
she have really good dinner parties too.
And she still had amazing dinner parties. Everyone says actually that like she would even have like private dinner parties. People who did not know that she was dying, and like, but it's like she kind of went and did her little like pilgrimage of like meeting with all of her best friends and like eating, you know, cheesecake. And people were like, she never eats cheesecake, but oh yeah, let's hang out and eat cheesecake. And
I don't like this.
Sorry. So, and then over the years, I mean, it's years, you know? And so over the years, she thought about telling more people, but ultimately she didn't want the end of her life to be defined by her illness and having people constantly ask her how she was feeling or doing, basically having to just talk about it all the time. Her son Jacob has a really good way of explaining it. So if we go back to the idea of like what Nora's mother taught her when she was young about being able to turn terrible life moments around and make yourself the hero instead of the victim of the joke, Jacob writes, quote, "The thing is, you can't really turn a fatal illness into a joke. It is almost the only disclosure that turns you into the victim rather than the hero of your story." I'm sorry, I'm writing. I felt the same way when I wrote this. So as Nora wrote in her last book called I Remember Nothing, quote, "The realization that I may have only a few good years remaining has hit me with real force, and I have done a lot of thinking as a result. I would like to have come up with something profound, but I haven't. I try to figure it out, but I try to figure out what I really want to do every day. I try to say it to myself, if this is one of my last days of my life, am I doing exactly what I want to be doing? I am low. My idea of the perfect day is a frozen custard from Shake Shack and a walk in the park." So, yeah. And so at the end of her life, Nick would, you know, she's in the hospital. She's in the hospital for like 4 weeks before she dies. And Nick would show up every day in the hospital, like perfectly dressed, because she was like really into like clothes and fashion. And it was like his way of, in a way, showing her like everything's normal, but also like you're worth it, you know, like you're worth me taking the time to like dress up and be there for you. And so then when, you know, in the end, she's like about to go into a coma and stuff. I know she kept it a complete secret to the end, to the point where like her son Jacob is like calling people to be like, hey, so my mom's about to die and she wants you to like speak at her memorial and stuff. And nobody had any clue. Like, in fact, actually, she was a big supporter of Shakespeare in the Park. And, you know, her table, like some of the people like that were invited, you know, so obviously close friends, you know, they didn't even know that she was in the hospital, that she was, that, you know, or if they knew she was in the hospital, they didn't think it was like any sort of big deal. Like it was like, oh, okay, I heard she's kind of sick. Oh, that sucks, you know. And a week after like the big, you know, fundraiser for Shakespeare in the Park, She dies on June 26, 2009. And the memorial, and of course she plans the best big cocktail, the big final cocktail party of her life for her memorial with champagne and cucumber sandwiches and like all of her closest friends and everyone just toasting her legacy. And and in 2013, she was nominated for a Tony Award posthumously for the final play that she wrote, which was about a tabloid journalist who died of cancer at a very young age. No one understood why she was drawn to that story, but obviously it was probably like the idea of dying, young. Like, and what someone has said about her is that like she was probably drawn to it because this was a person who didn't seem to live a remarkable life. He just seemed to be lucky, and that's kind of how she felt about her own existence. Is that like she's not some special genius or something, absolutely extraordinary. She just kind of got lucky with how everything happened. I'm sorry I made you cry. It is sad.
Such a sad ending. And now that you said 2009, I do remember 2009.
Yeah.
Of hearing like, oh, Nora Ephron died. All of the rom-com movies you love. And I was like sad, but I like didn't know anything enough about her life.
Let me make sure I check that because I'm thinking I got that wrong.
The 2009?
Yeah,
I think you're right. Like I do. I think I remember. Like I was like old enough. Obviously, in 2009, I was a lot old enough. But
oh, sorry, it's 2012. That makes more sense. Okay, 2009 is when Julia and Julia came out, and so I think I was just mixing up dates. So it was 2012.
Yes,
but
and
it was
again, like I remember that I was old enough, and I was clearly way old enough. Yeah. When I thought about it, I was like, oh, she died in the 90s. It was like, oh, no, I do remember being like, oh, Nora Ephron died. And I was like, oh, my God, all the movies. And I think I remember my mom crying a little bit, too.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I remember because it's in late in life, she had this like huge renaissance of like, like these 2 books came out, she's... Yeah, she I think she got
relatively young.
She got nominated again for Julia and Julia. She never won an Academy Award. But also, it's like because she wasn't telling people that she was sick. They would have given it to her for Julia and Julia if she had said like, I'm dying, but she didn't want
exactly
that. Like
true, though, either because of what happened this Oscars.
Well, yes, but back then they were doing that all the time. Yeah. Heath Ledger for the Joker. Come on, man.
I mean, he definitely went down there, but yeah, I don't think it was like the best performance of all year. But
yeah, exactly.
But then again, you look at this year with Chadwick Boseman, and
it's true. It's true. They don't always do that.
Was amazing, and he didn't get it. But
but
oh my God, stop it! Her life was awesome and fun, and everything I want out of Nora Ephron as a lover of her movies. Like, I'm so glad I know more about her. And thank you.
Yeah, she's incredible.
I don't think I've ever cried for anybody before.
Oh. Yeah. Aww.
Like on our episodes. I don't think I've ever cried before, but I was like sobbing. I'm sorry. That's why I went like really quiet for a minute. I was like...
Yeah.
Anyway,
because she's an incredible lady. Like she was the person people, I got most of my information from the documentary Everything is Copy that is directed by her son, Jacob Bernstein. And it's incredible. It's so good. I wish I could have put more. Like, I recommend anyone to watch it. Just watch that documentary. It's on HBO.
I will definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yes. Yeah. And now I do just want to go home and watch When Harry Met Sally. And there's a new book out, too, called People We Meet on Vacation. It just was released, I think, last month or 2 months ago. So it's a new book, and they say it's like an homage to When Harry Met Sally. Aww. So it's like I've been actually really wanting to read that. Yeah. And now I definitely want to revitalize. I don't remember who it's by, because in case you're curious about People We Meet on Vacation...
the book, yeah.
But while I quickly look this up, the cocktail was amazing. And I have to say that so People We Meet on Vacation by Henry, I said her last name first. Hi. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry.
Is this how we learn that you're a sexist?
Especially because her last name is like a man's first
name.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not. I'm so feminist.
I expect a book to be written by a man.
Yeah. I'm such a feminist, and I stand by that because
Emily-
I didn't change
so-
my last name. So
Emily Henry.
Emily Henry.
Cool.
And the tagline is, for fans of When Harry Met Sally,
Aw.
a story of two fools in love who might be the only ones who don't know it yet.
Yay. I love
So
that stuff.
I've been actually really wanting to like buy it and read it recently.
Yeah. I'm ready. It's summer, you know? I'm ready to get into some like cheesy, beach reads. Yes.
Actually, in that same author, Emily Henry, has a book that I own and I'm ready to read it, and it is actually called Beach Read.
Oh, okay. I thought the name sounded familiar. I was like, Emily Henry sounds familiar.
Yeah, she came out with a book last year called Beach Read, and I bought it because I was like, yes, I want a beach read.
How funny would that be to just sit there on a beach read? Yeah, and have people see you. Yeah,
reading a beach read. And that's why I bought it. And it also sounded really like totally cute and like fun and stuff. So I definitely bought it. And now I've been like having my eye on this people we meet on vacation.
Aw.
Next book purchase. Along with like 30,000 other books that I also want to buy. Problems of being book nerds, right?
I know, right? You put it on your Goodreads.
Exactly.
So you want to guess my cocktail?
Okay, so I mean, it's so sophisticated as a drink, especially with the snacks paired on top. It definitely was something that I could see like, okay, everyone, we've had our amazing dinner, let's retire, and then we'll come back for like cocktails, and you see them all, it was so pretty. And you see that around like the like that's what I would do. I'd be like, okay, so we've had dinner, we don't instantly want post-dinner drinks and food, so like let's all like meander outside and get some fresh air and stand up for a second, and then while we're out there, you place these cocktails on the table with the little dessert and the nice kind of like dinner aperitif.
Aperitif. That's
yes,
it. Yeah.
that's what it is. Dinner aperitif with some dessert, and then everyone can snack on their chocolate brownies while sipping this and casually talking. And then you come around with your silver gooseneck coffee pot, or you got some brandy snifters. And I definitely have a bar cart just for the fact that one day I can have people over and be like, what cocktail would you like to have? I know.
Okay,
There's so many
so then
actual
back
feminists.
to
Okay. Who are like yelling at me. I'm like, sorry, I like what I like.
no, forget them. So okay, so yes, so the whole party-ish thing, and then whiskey, because it still is like she's tough, strong, whiskey. She's a whiskey girl. yeah,
I'm
probably.
into it. And
I'm sure she
then,
drank wine mostly, but yes, exactly. You could see her as being like, yeah, someone
like,
who's like,
it's like I'm a whiskey girl.
I can take a big
but-
old shot because, yeah.
But she probably did that whenever she got nervous. Like, I'm going to take a shot of whiskey or something,
When I feel like people felt like talking to her, it was, because she gave it hard and fast and quick. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly how it is, and I'm not going to sugarcoat something, and you're going to
sugarcoat it with the Cointreau.
Yes, yeah. The triple sec.
The
yeah.
triple sec, because didn't you have
Yes.
Cointreau?
Yes, that was,
Triple
yeah.
sec? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the triple sec.
But
so
it's
there's
not like
bit
a
of
sweet,
sugar.
sugary, like,
No, it's
oh,
like,
you're
I
doing
hate
so
to
great,
say this, but
yeah, no, it's like, oh, I'm
The
going to
triple
tell you
sec
this,
is I hate to say
but I
this.
love you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing of like, here's the truth. Like, you're doing a really bad job, but I love you.
Yes. Exactly.
Like, I feel like that's her way, instead of
Yes.
being like, no, I love you, honey, but like, you could do better.
And then we've got the dash of bitters. It does just highlight the flavor.
It's orange bitters,
but
I should say.
it
So it
complements that like idea of like the like fruity, sugary that, and then I could pin it if it was sweet vermouth, but it's dry vermouth.
See, okay, I love that. Okay, so here's my thing. This is what I'm going with. Is that like, basically, it's almost like a light version of a Manhattan. Because a Manhattan is sweet vermouth, regular bitters, and whiskey, and then the cherry stuff. Okay? And
Well,
so...
just the cherry.
The cherry, yeah, cherry stuff. Being a cherry.
Being the cherry.
And so it's a play on that, where it's like you have the whiskey base, but instead of sweet vermouth, I'm going dry, and then instead of regular bitters, I'm going sweet bitters. So it's like flipping the script on it, because I feel like
I love that. It is flipping the script on
Yes.
it, like a Manhattan, which is such a like a man sits at the bar. I'm gonna have a Manhattan.
Yes.
But she loved Manhattans.
And she loves Manhattan, but it's like she showed Manhattan in a different way. She showed like romantic comedies in a different way by like literally having characters who find themselves first before they actually find love, you know? And it's like they're not found through their love story. Like, it's like they are strong and independent and wonderful people all on their own. And then there's also on top of it, they get to have a love story. And I think that's just so beautiful. And so that's what I'm like kind of going with. It's like, I'll have what she's having, because it's like she found out what she wanted in her life and she made it work, and she was also able to add some comedy, you know?
Exactly. She is the I'll have what she's having. She knew class, she knew, you know, style, she knew how to tug at the heartstrings in a good way, but she also did it with something real and raw. So both versions of our I'll have what she's having.
Yes, I'll have what she's having.
I will have what she's having. Except for that ending. God, I won't.
I know. Yeah.
Of course, Nora Ephron's ending would take my heart out, squeeze it into a bloody pulp, and throw it on the ground.
If you want to get really sad, you can read Jacob Bernstein's article from the New York Times, also one of my references, about dealing with like his mom when she was dying and stuff like that. It's a long article. It's even long for New York Times standards, and it's sad.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
I just cried with you telling me about Nora.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sorry.
Spent a long time just crying there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, we'll do someone fun next, I guess.
Well, that was fun.
It was fun. It's still fun.
It was really fun. I was having a blast. Nora Ephron is my spirit animal.
I love her so much now. Yes, I'm like, I already loved her, but now I love her even more.
Yeah. No, she's definitely my spirit animal. Mm-hmm. Your spirit animal.
Yes.
Our
just,
dinner party.
It's like, I feel like
animal.
If anyone's ever like, romantic comedies, Nora Ephron or something like that, I'll be like, oh, I've got facts for you, bitch.
I mean, I still struggle with that because I do. You know, you will find me.
I'm not going to watch like Hallmark Channel or like Lifetime Channel romantic comedies, but like,
I have like, well, I shouldn't say this because again, everyone has their loves. So I don't, that's not my love. That's fine. The Hallmark is a little too much for me, but you will find me curled up on the couch on a random like Sunday night with a giant mask on my face. Mm-hmm. I am curled up into my bathrobe and I've got a glass of wine and some chocolate, and probably an abundance of chocolate because again, I really love chocolate. And I'm watching something that's in the rom-com category.
Like, Dirty Dancing.
An Adam Sandler movie.
Harry Met Sally. Oh, yeah, Adam Sandler made some good rom-coms.
Yeah. 50 First Dates. Oh my God.
So cute.
And then the recent one is... I do have to suggest this to anybody who's just really wanting, like, I know it's like a high school one, but it still is really cute. And it's...
Go for it.
To All the Boys I Have Ever Loved. Oh my God, it's a trilogy, and it was based on these books, and it's so good, and I'm so... Laura Jean. It's like, oh my God, I loved it.
Rom-coms are good.
Yeah, it's like the first ones, they're all on Netflix. It's To All the Boys I've Ever Loved.
Oh,
P.S.
Nice.
To All the Boys I've Ever Loved. P.S. I Still Love You.
Oh, okay.
That kind of
I've
stuff.
seen that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with it, you know, if they're done well enough.
Okay, well, thanks for listening and letting us girl out for a minute. It was needed.
Yes. All right. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, kind of on Twitter. You know, and if you enjoy our podcast, please let your friends know and
let us know.
And subscribe and tell your friends and tell us. Please tell us. We like hearing from people.
Why I say tell us is that it's fun doing this together, but it would be fun to like talk to other people too.
It's fun having conversations with other people.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about a certain author? We'll totally love to talk to you about it.
I'm okay hearing people tell me like, did you also know this about this? You know, like person, and it's just like that's kind of fun. As long as you're not mean, just like don't be mean. But like, I don't mind people being like, "Oh my gosh, you also know."
There's too much negativity in the world.
Tell me,
like, let's be positive and have fun. My husband has to listen to Leslie and I just like corner him and be like, "We're telling you about this author," and he's like, "That's cool."
I'm so impressed that he doesn't bring out his cell phone sooner.
I know. He does try. He does learn a lot, and he actually asked if he could be a guest episode. We did shoot it down pretty quickly, but. I think he's into it enough, but we want to be able to talk to somebody else to like let us be geeks with you.
Yes,
so
we love it.
Reach out, DM.
All right.
Bye.
The sources for this include Nora Ephron's written works, a couple New York Times articles written by Jacob Bernstein, the documentary Everything is Copy by Jacob Bernstein, and assorted interviews with Nora Ephron and others.